Welcome to Weight Loss and Wellness for Real, the podcast where people like you get the practical solutions and support you need to permanently lose the physical and mental weight so you can feel better and live the life you really want to live in the body and mind you really want to be living in. If you're looking to overcome your stress eating, overeating, binging behaviors, and move to a place of food and body freedom, as well as find more meaning and more moments of joy in life, you are in the right place. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in and listening to Weight Loss and Wellness for Real. I'm your host, Heather Heynen, and today we are going to talk all about winter, not just the season, but what it represents and what it really can teach us about life. Because winter, whether you love it or you dread it, it's more than just a season of cold weather and shorter days. It's really a time of stillness, a time of reflection, and really is a season of transformation. But if I'm really honest, winter is not easy for many of us. It's not for me. I know many people around me, friends, family members, clients. It is not an easy time. In fact, if you statistically look at when mental emotional issues uptick, it is typically during the fall into the winter season. This has a lot to do with the less light that we actually, not so much the cold weather, but the less light that we actually get. And it can really create some depressive symptoms. It can feel really heavy, really isolating, and just plain hard. And I struggled with this for quite a while, especially as I started getting into my 40s. I noticed that as winter season approached, every year, like my seasonal affective disorder symptoms, that's those sad symptoms, were kind of getting more and more intense, worse and worse. And I really was not doing well through the winter season. And so I did implement a whole bunch of practical strategies that I'll talk a little bit about as well to really help offset that mood stuff that was happening for me and that low energy that was happening for me. But really, what changed my ability to cope, shall we say, with winter was really taking on a different mindset about winter, a different philosophy about the season, and really embracing that philosophy, that mindset around the winter season. That really is what helped alleviate so many of my symptoms that I was getting through the late fall and into winter. All right, so just real quick housekeeping thing, totally off topic, and then we'll get back. But if you would like to receive a monthly newsletter from me on all things well-being, it's really short tips and tricks on all things well-being. I always include a high protein recipe. So if you're really looking at getting into the new year with trying to up your protein for health, for weight maintenance, weight loss, whatever it is, I really recommend you just go to my website and sign up for that free once a month newsletter, just for the recipe itself, because they're really simple recipes. They're tasty recipes and they're high in protein. So even if you're not interested in the well-being tips, you can get that. And then I also, the end of every newsletter always has the discount codes for any products or companies that are supporting the podcast. So the listener support that I've been able to use through Spotify for this podcast, they are ending that, or they did end that this January. So some of you were supporting the podcast, which was so helpful. And now that's not happening. So anytime you support a product from one of the links, either in that newsletter or in the bottom of this podcast episode description, all the links are there too. Every time you purchase something through those links, which by the way, you usually get a discount on them by using those links, it does support this podcast. It helps keep it going. If you head over to my website, heatherheynen.com, Heynen is spelled Heynen, scroll to the bottom of any page of that website and you can sign up for free. You can subscribe to that monthly newsletter. And I was just thinking about it because last month, the topic that I'm talking about now, that was the topic of the newsletter. And so a month ago, all those subscribers got very practical strategies broken down. I think there were 8 of them that they could implement to get started to feel better during the winter. So try to make them very practical and tactical. Head over there, sign up for that. Okay, so let's move on. I kind of think that winter gets a really bad reputation because it forces us to slow down. And we are so a culture right now that is not used to that. We live in a world that values speed and productivity and constant motion. And we see that going around, everyone around us is doing that. The culture is doing that. People who do that get, rewarded. I'm putting that in quotation marks by being seen as successful or financially they're rewarded. But we really get into this thing of going, 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 busy, busy, busy. We want instant results. We want endless progress and to always feel like we're moving forward. But winter really asks us to pause, to stop chasing, and instead to reflect. And this can be really, really uncomfortable for many of us in this culture. It can feel, for many of us, we feel guilty when we slow down. It's like we're doing something wrong. But what if we're not? What if slowing down is exactly what we need? So I want think about nature for a moment. In winter, the trees aren't growing. They're actually conserving energy. They're pulling their resources inward. Animals hibernate. The earth itself rests, and it isn't laziness. This is survival. It's part of the pattern of growth because when spring comes, all that quiet preparation turns into growth. So it's interesting that we think we're different than that. Like I said, I used to really fight this season, both literally and metaphorically. I didn't want to sit with uncomfortable feelings or admit I needed rest. I thought I could just power through every winter, every day in my life, every hard season, every quiet period. But let me tell you, the more I resisted, the more exhausted I became. And eventually, I really realized that winter is not here to punish us. It is here to remind us that rest and stillness are part of the process. They are essential. They're essential for growth. So let's take the idea a little deeper. What if we reframed the way we think about winter? So instead of seeing it as a dead time, we could see it as a preparation time, a time to plant seeds in the dark soil of our lives, trusting that they'll bloom when the time is right. So I want to ask you, what seeds are you planting right now? Maybe it's the way you're caring for yourself, even if no one else sees it. Maybe it's the small, quiet habits that you're building right now, like taking time to move your body, to journal, or simply reflect. Those are the seeds, and winter is the perfect time to nurture them. Here's something else I learned about winter: it's a season that invites honesty. When everything is stripped away, the leaves, the flowers, the distractions, it's just you and your roots. Winter asks, what really matters to you? What are you holding on to that you need to let go of? What are you carrying that's no longer serving you, that's no longer helping you? And that's a lot of deep, heavy stuff. And it's not easy to sit with, but it's also really, really liberating. We talk about freedom a lot in this podcast. And this is one piece of that to get to that liberating feeling, that freedom. I'll share a quick story. A few years ago, I went through my own kind of winter, just a period of life where everything felt quiet, still, and uncertain. At first, I really rebelled against it. I struggled against it. I hated it. I felt really stuck, really frustrated, super, super impatient. But slowly, I really realized that this winter season was giving me space to figure out who I was, what I really wanted, who I really wanted to be, how I wanted to show up daily in this life for others, for myself. It wasn't about doing more. It was about letting myself be. And I will tell you that in my line of work, I see this so probably in about 90% of the people I work with, they have this thing of their worthiness comes from doing. And so they're always pushing. There's a lot of perfectionism, there's a lot of striving and driving. which also, by the way, can often lead to procrastination for many people because they get so overwhelmed with this sense they need to be doing more. They freeze. Literally, their nervous system goes at, we have fight, flight, freeze, fawn. They go into freeze. So they actually end up procrastinating, not doing the things they really want to do. And then they feel guilty and ashamed of that. So this whole striving and driving, just the thought that we have to be doing all the time can actually create the very thing we don't want to be doing. It can actually cause us to freeze and feel overwhelmed and not do the things we want to be doing. So it really is about switching this mindset. And this is what I help people I'm working with come to see, like, how do you feel worthy in just being? How do you not feel guilty when you're not doing, right? So for me, it wasn't about doing more. It was about letting myself be. So what does this look like in everyday life? Maybe it's choosing to honor your body's cravings for hearty, comforting foods without judgment, knowing that your body is smarter than you give it credit for. Maybe it's letting yourself take a day off from the gym because rest is just as important as movement. Or maybe it's giving yourself permission to dream, reflect, and plan, even if it feels like nothing's happening yet. It's not about perfection. This is about grace. Winter is messy and imperfect, just like life. If this resonates with you, here are a few ideas to help you lean into winter both inside and out. So, really starting to shift and embrace a new mindset around winter. Create some space for rest. So, set aside time each week to really pause. This could be as simple as going for a slow walk, for journaling, or just sitting quietly without distractions. Think of it as hibernation for your soul. Reflect on what matters. Use this time to ask yourself some deeper questions. What do you value most? What are you holding on to that's no longer serving you? Winter is the perfect time to prune the parts of your life that need to let go. I think I did an edit, or I'm sorry, I did a episode or a blog post, I don't remember, on editing your life, like really editing your life. And that's all about that pruning, that taking away what isn't working. Take time to celebrate the small wins. Growth in the winter is often invisible, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. Whether it's a healthier mindset, a kinder relationship with food, kinder relationship with your spouse or partner or kids, or simply taking one small step toward a goal, celebrate it, like really celebrate it. And then trust the process. Growth is not linear. Sometimes it's quiet. Trust that the seeds you are planting now are going to bloom in the time that's right. I also want to just give you a few practical strategies that we've covered before, but maybe you're new to the podcast, or maybe you just need, we all need reminders, right? So, some really practical behavioral things that can also help mood in winter would be things like, hey everyone, quick interruption to tell you about something really exciting for me. It's a product that I have become an ambassador for, and it's a product that I love. So, if you struggle to get in enough protein in your day without blowing your calorie budget, you are definitely not alone. This is one of the things my clients struggle with the most, is getting in the amount of protein they actually need to be maintaining or losing weight, or if they're trying to build muscle. So again, whether you're working towards weight loss, building muscle, or just trying to stay energized, finding a protein option that's both effective and enjoyable and convenient is really tough. And I have found a solution for you. It's very new to the market. It is called the David Protein Bars. I was offered an early taste test of these before they were out to the public, and I fell in love. Each bar packs 28 grams of protein, so almost 30 grams of protein, just 150 calories. There is no bar out there right now that has that much protein and that little calories. And there is absolutely no sugar. They've been a game changer for me with flavors like fudge brownie, cake batter, blueberry pie. These bars are not just a protein fix, they're a treat I actually look forward to. They taste so good. I have been having one most evenings for a snack because they're so delicious. I love just looking forward to it. But I also have used them when I don't have time to prep food for like a post-workout fuel meal. I've also used them as a way to manage cravings for both myself as well as encouraging my clients to use these as a way to manage cravings. David bars have really become my go-to. So what's even better, when you use my link to purchase David protein bars, you are not just fueling your goals, you are also supporting this podcast. Every order that you use through my link helps me to keep sharing tips and strategies to help you live your healthiest, happiest life. So head over to davidprotein.com/Heather, and Heather is in all capital letters, or you can use the link in the show notes below and give these bars a try. Make getting your protein in easy, delicious, keeping the calories low, and you're also supporting the podcast. Again, that link is davidprotein.com/Heather, all in capital letters. And if you can't remember, again, there's a link below in the show notes. Thanks for supporting the show. Using light. So if you can get out in the morning when the sun is first rising and just get outside in the cold, you can bundle up, that's fine. But get out there and get light on your face and in your eyes for about 10 minutes. Do not stare directly at the sun. Okay, just get light in your eyes for 10 minutes. That can really help boost mood, really helps regulate your circadian rhythm, which uh, helps, bottom line, boost mood throughout the day, your energy levels. If you can't get out, because for some of us, the sun is not rising till really, really late in the morning, and you might be at work already or you have other things you need to do, then I would really recommend a light box and sitting in front of a therapeutic light box for 10, 15 minutes every morning, maybe while you're having coffee, you're doing your quiet time, journaling, whatever you're doing in the morning, but get in front of that therapeutic light for 10 to 15 minutes. We have great research studies that show this really does help improve those seasonal affective disorder symptoms, or just even if you're not quite at the seasonal affective disorder stuff, just boost your mood, boost energy. Another thing that we know works through research would be a red light therapy panel. There, just a heads up, there are a lot of red light therapy tools on the market these days. If you really get into the research behind red light therapy, many of those things are not going to be to the degree, to the intensity that you need that red light to be in order for it to be therapeutic. So if you're looking at, you want to do red light, I really recommend looking at the research to understand the type of red light therapy panel you need in order to make it worth your time and money. They are an investment. So if you're getting one for $50 off Amazon, I'm telling you, it's a waste of your time and money. There are some in bigger places. I know we have a couple here in town. We're like a mid-sized city that you can go, just like a tanning booth, and get some. You can go to like a red light. They have red light panels that you can pay to sit in front of. Those would be some ideas. I know I'm probably going to get hate for this, but the old school tanning beds, the UVA, UVB tanning beds, even just like 3 to 5 minutes once a week have been shown to be helpful for mood and all that kind of stuff. I know there's all the things about skin cancer and stuff like that out there. With that, I would just say that's why you keep it 3 to 5 minutes once a week. You have to balance those things. Also, by the way, we do know that maybe the light is not that big of a cause of skin cancer. And again, probably get hate mail for that. But if you think it is, I would just suggest you dive into the actual literature to see some of that. Also, doing things like eating really nourishing foods in this time of year can be so healing. So things like stews and bone broth and spices like cinnamon and turmeric, those real warming spices, they do actually warm our body. There's reasons we kind of crave those things this time of year, and that's because our body knows that feels good. It helps keep our body warm in the cold. So incorporating some of those warming spices into your meals, having those warm liquids, teas and stews and bone broths and things like that can be really, really nourishing for our bodies and really help us help our mood in the same, because food, nourishing food, our mood and food totally goes together. So doing some of those things can be really, really helpful. And then the final one, there's lots, but the final one I'll talk about is just sleep because we know how important sleep is. And in the wintertime, you're actually probably going to want to sleep more. And what I would say to that is you should. So if you have the ability to go to bed earlier, do it. Get more sleep in the winter. We know that that can be really healing and restorative for the body and mind during this season. So don't hesitate or feel guilty for getting more sleep this time of year. Well, winter is not the end of the story, right? It's the beginning of something new. And that's really the whole mindset shift I had to take on that really helped me deal with winter in a much healthier way. It isn't the end of the story. It's actually the beginning of something new. It's the season where transformation starts quietly under the surface. If you're in a winter season right now, whether it's literal or emotional, I really want to encourage you to embrace it. You do not have to rush through it or fix everything all at once. Just trust that this season is here for a reason. Thank you for spending time with me today. If this episode spoke to you, I'd love to hear about it. Take a moment to share it with someone you think might need this reminder. And as always, stay well, stay kind to yourself, and we will talk soon. Did you know you can find a lot more help from me on my website? Go to heatherheynen.com. Heynen is spelled Heynen, and there you will find links to my online courses, how I work with clients one-on-one, as well as online with my coaching and counseling services that I offer. The information in this podcast is intended to provide a broad understanding and knowledge of healthcare topics. This information is for educational purposes only and should not be considered complete and should not be used in place of advice from your physician or healthcare provider. We recommend you consult your physician or healthcare professional before beginning or altering your personal exercise, diet, or supplementation program.